Okay, I'm starting up a little early, so we'll actually wait for more people before I start drawing. In the meantime, I'm going to raise up this. So that you can see the full drawing, since I'm doing a landscape rather than portrait. Okay. Still can't see it all. Go just a little higher, and then we'll call it good enough. Et voilà. Okay. Excuse me. You can see me putting the tape on my pants. As with all of the other days, I'm going to start out by taping my paper down. I'm actually, I put the tape on my pants first because it's a rather strong tape. And so having it pick up a few fibers is actually good. That way it actually comes off of the paper easier without tearing it. You know, if you had told me 2 years ago, when I did my first Inktober, that the next time I did it, I would be broadcasting live, I don't think I would have believed you. If nothing else, I would have said, no, I wouldn't do something like that. But here we are. Okay. It is 8:30. Yes, I got started early. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get started right away because today's drawing is a little more complex and therefore will likely take longer. And I don't want to take up too much of your precious time. I went ahead today and refilled my little ink container, so we're nice and full. And I think we're going to start out with the small nib because I'm working with details today. All right, let's do this. You know, the problem about taping my paper down is that I can't actually turn it with the stroke. So my pen strokes are a little shorter than they could be otherwise. That's not a biggie. And today's verse is a really well-known one. They that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint. And then it continues. That one's also a psalm. I'm blanking on the reference at the moment, so I do know it's in Psalms though. And so today I'm doing eagle's wings. When I teased it on Facebook earlier, I was planning on drawing the full eagle. And so on the back of this paper, actually, you can see the beginning of that drawing. I didn't take it much further than where it was when I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. But it wasn't giving me the feel I wanted. I really wanted to focus on the amazingness of a bird's wings, especially a bird like an eagle, where there's just so much power there. And I wasn't getting that feeling from it with the full picture. So I started over again, and this is what I ended up with. And I'll tell you what, I was halfway through drawing this when I realized it was a really insane choice. Supposed to be choosing easier subjects so that it can all fit within a streaming time and not take up everybody's time. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta do things the hard way. And that said, I'm really excited about how this is going to turn out. Hopefully it turns out really amazing. Welcome to everybody who has joined since I started. I started right on time today because this one might take me a little bit longer than the other ones have. But I am glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. And let's hope and pray that the technology is kind to me today and I'm able to live stream the whole thing, unlike last night. Sif has just decided that she wants to sit on my lap. I'm trying to convince her that that is a bad idea at the moment. Kitties and ink do not mix. I think she's resigned to sitting on the chair or the arm of my chair, which is one of her favorite places when I'm drawing. I mean, she'd much rather sit on my lap and put her tail in everything, but she knows that that's often not an option. For those who are watching and don't know, Sif is one of my kitty cats. I have two big gray fluffy cats, and Sif is the larger one with the white paws. If you follow me on Instagram at all, you will have seen both cats featured prominently on my page because they are a really big part of my life. And yes, I am a crazy cat lady. Now, I didn't do this today because my reference photo was on my on my phone, and I do my recording on my phone. But I do want to start recording the drawing of these as well, the pencil drawings. And that won't be live, that will be something separate for my patrons. So if you want to see the behind the scenes, go to patreon.com, look up KRiggsArt, and subscribe for as little as $5 a month, and you can get all of the exciting behind the scenes stuff. You can even support me for $1 a month. Crazy cat lady and proud of it, says Sarah. Yes, I am. Took me a while to be proud of it because the image of a crazy cat lady isn't necessarily a positive one in our society, but you know, I love my cats and they're a big part of my world. But yeah, support me on Patreon, patreon.com, KRiggsArt. It's an awesome platform that is allowing artists like myself to take the time that they need to create their fabulous works of art. And if you are watching this, hopefully that means you are interested in artwork, and my artwork in particular. And if you want to see more content like this, Patreon is an excellent place to check that out. I have some great rewards, including a swag bag that's only for the first 50 patrons, so that's something exciting to get in on at the beginning. It's, again, exclusive only for the first 50 patrons. I don't know if anybody else here has spent a significant amount of time staring at a bird or a bird's wings. Although my parents are probably pretty familiar, but the feathers are so amazing. So close together, and some are so small that it's even hard to tell the difference between the different feathers. And so drawing that, mimicking that, it's quite a challenge, and it was kind of a fun one. It gives me an even greater appreciation for these amazing animals. I've always really liked birds of prey, especially. The bigger, stronger, more powerful they are, the more amazing I like them. I think they are. This one that I'm drawing right now is actually a golden eagle. The full picture was of it taking off from a snow-covered bank. And so its legs are stretched out behind it and below it, and it's just amazing. Now, it took me a long time to get to the point where I drew every day. And once upon a time, I thought that was crazy that people could draw every day and still want to draw. And then I'd feel guilty because all of my peers would talk about their sketchbooks and drawing and what they were working on, and then ask me what I was working on, and it would be nothing unless I had an actual project I was doing. And now, it's weird going a day without drawing. I spent most of my day today cleaning up my house, and it was nice when I finally sat down to work on this and get it ready for you guys. At my grad school, they talked a lot about pencil mileage. I guess in this case it would be pen mileage, although I did draw it in pencil first. That without putting in the time, without really putting in the hours and the pencil mileage, you can't expect to have an amazing drawing or an amazing ability. I think some people are born with it innate, and those people just absolutely amaze me. But a lot of the magic that goes behind art isn't very magical. It's tears and stress and sometimes blood and sweat, and you guys get to see the fun part. But it's an amazing feeling when you get to the end and you've put all of that effort in, and then having this, getting to step back and see this thing that you have created. It's kind of awesome. Okay, so it looks like the recording's going in and out like it was yesterday, but it hasn't stopped completely yet, hopefully. Can you guys still see it? And you have the evil circle of death. If this continues to happen, I might have to try and find a new app, one that doesn't keep freezing up on us. This one had so much potential. Or YouTube could go back to where they let anybody live stream from their phone. I don't know why they let you live stream from a computer and not from a phone, if you're not lucky enough to have over 1,000 subscribers. So YouTube people, if you're listening, it would be nice if you'd let me actually use your app instead of somebody else's. Sarah, I'm glad you like watching along with me. I sometimes wonder. I hope that this is interesting and entertaining for everybody. Although I suppose if it's not, you wouldn't be tuning in, huh? When I'm going over these pencil drawings with ink, I'm not necessarily following all of the lines perfectly. I'm actually editing and improving on what I did before. I don't know how much of the pencil you guys can see, but on this feather over here, the pencil line actually goes way out here, and I didn't like that. I wanted to make it a thinner feather. And so I edited that and changed it as I was going. It's wonderfully relaxing, Sarah says. I'm glad. I find it relaxing, usually, until something's not working for me, and then it's anything but relaxing. I know that I love watching Bob Ross paint, and I do find his videos relaxing. And because of his really soothing voice, I once tried to fall asleep with his videos running, but I was too fascinated in the techniques he was showing that I eventually had to turn it off so I could actually go to sleep because it was too fascinating. Oops. So the back of this back wing here is actually mostly black with a little bit of light shining on it. So at the moment I'm outlining those spots where the white is going to go. I actually, with all of the feathers and stuff, I ended up going ahead and labeling all of my white spots with a W, so I didn't accidentally go over them in black. I'll do that when I'm working on my book as well, except with an X to indicate where I want solid black areas. And it helps keep things separated and delineated so you know what you're doing. Hopefully. At least that's the goal. Okay, looks like I've got most of my outlining done, my initial little lines. So it's actually turning out that the inking of this is taking a lot less time than the initial drawing of it, which shouldn't surprise me really, but okay, cool. I'll rinse off my pen. That's what it's called. know if you've guys noticed, but I have a hard time talking and drawing at the same time. And the more into my drawing I get, and the more focused I am, the less I tend to talk. I keep glancing up and seeing that stupid circle going around in circles. Hopefully that doesn't mean you guys are losing the video here. And if you have any questions or comments about what's happening on the page, feel free to ask me. Might not notice the comment right away, but I will do my best to answer your questions to the best of my ability. This part is always my favorite. It's the inking part. It's where you get away from the nitty-gritty of trying to figure out how it's going to work, and you can just sort of relax and play with it and go with your instincts, see what looks best. So for example, these little white lines here weren't planned out. They just sort of happened and I thought they looked cool. So I went with them. So I don't know if you guys know who Jim Lee is, but he's this phenomenal comic book artist. He's worked on all of the big titles, Batman being one of the major ones. And he actually has a Twitch channel. And I was watching his Twitch the other day, and he drew a picture of Batman on a piece of wood for somebody. Although he does a lot worse at talking and drawing at the same time. A lot worse than I do. He's also majorly talented. No spinning wheel of death. Oh, that's good. That's really encouraging. Yeah, I got to watch Jim Lee draw in real life at Comic-Con, and that was pretty awesome. Went to 2 of his. An interesting man. It's fun listening to him talk, and just so talented. Love watching him draw. Excuse me while I fangirl a little bit. So when I started, or when I was planning to do this, my original goal was to try and keep my videos down to 20 minutes. Obviously that hasn't happened yet. I was basing it on the fact that 2 years ago I drew and inked most of my drawings in about an hour, hour and a half. So I thought, oh, I can do it. If I draw ahead of time, I can keep the inking part down to just 20 minutes. And it'll be awesome. And yeah, that hasn't happened for any of these. So I guess we're just going with longer segments. And I knew it definitely wasn't going to happen for something this detailed. So what else do you guys like watching on YouTube? I tend to like the funny YouTubers, so I watch a lot of Good Mythical Morning. When I'm needing inspiration or feeling frustrated, I really love watching Draw with Jaza. And he does really well at explaining different techniques, and he's another phenomenal artist. You guys should go check out his channel. Tell him I sent you. But yeah, that's Draw with Jaza. J-A-Z-Z-A. I also occasionally watch the Try Guys, although recently I've been less interested in their channel. I watch a lot of Dr. Mike recently. He's fascinating. I like listening to him talk. Good and informative, and I like that he's bringing the conversation to YouTube. And if at any point in these videos I start jabbering or blabbering, like talking about my favorite YouTubers, feel free to mute me and put in your own sounds. In fact, it might be really funny if you took one of my videos and added sound effects. What would you do? How would you add sound effects? Thank you, Sarah. Sarah says I'm incredibly talented. I don't know how much of the chat you guys can see, if you can see everybody else's comments or not, which is why I've been repeating what's been put down before answering. So depending on what verse I choose for tomorrow, probably going to go with a simpler design, something a little easier. Maybe trade off and on the easy and the hard drawings. Give you guys some shorter ones to watch. So something I've noticed I do a lot in my in my drawings. I've noticed it because of doing the time-lapse videos, and then my dad mentioned it to me the other day, is the fact that I go back and forth. I might do a little something here and a little something there, and I kind of flit around the page and don't necessarily kind of work on it all at once. And I got to thinking about why I do that. And it's often because I'm letting my brain work on, maybe I'm having an issue with that part of the piece, and so I will leave it and let my subconscious work on it while I go work on another section. And so often I will flit around, not do things in a logical sequence, because I am giving my brain time to work on a problem and figure out how I want to finish it out, or what the solution might be. Alrighty, one wing is almost done. And the other wing has a lot more white to it, a lot more lighter spaces, So that one should go quicker, I think. Oh, Sarah says she watches BuzzFeed Ladylike. That's a fun one too. Although somehow I never actually really got into it. I've seen a few of theirs. I have a few episodes that I've really enjoyed. Oops. Probably can hear me better if I don't have my hand over my mouth. Oh, the other one I watch a lot of is the Facts channel, which I think is an odd name for them, since all of their videos are titled Irish People Try. And so Facts, I don't know, somehow the name doesn't seem to jive. But anyway, it's a whole channel of Irish people mostly trying foods. Sometimes they try different alcohols from different countries, or different proofs of alcohols, and I find them a lot of fun to watch. Oh, one that Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning recently got me onto was, I think it's called Sorted, S-O-R-T-E-D, and there are 3 British guys who are doing cooking challenges and stuff. And that was kind of fun. Okay. I'm going to use the white spaces here to help delineate between the different feathers. Give it a little more of a three-dimensional look. And contrast is an excellent way of adding a sense of depth to your picture. So if you have, and so is overlapping. So if you overlap two objects, like these feathers here, and then you make one darker than the other, or you give one end a little more weight, a little darker, it's really neat in how it tricks your eye into seeing something a little more three-dimensional. I am really happy with how this one's turning out. I wasn't really excited about yesterday's. I felt like it had a lot of potential that it didn't fully live up to, or it didn't work as it should have in my brain. Whereas this one seems to be turning out very nice. Quite pleased with it. Areas of strong contrast will also draw your eye. And so if you're trying to bring attention to a certain area in a drawing, giving that strong contrast will definitely help. I was going to say it'll do the trick, but it depends on how you apply the contrast and what else is in the image. But it definitely goes a long way to giving you a point of interest. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but focal point. That's the word I was looking for. One thing I've learned about myself in my artistic career is that if I'm interested or if I like what I'm creating, it is so much more likely to turn out well than if, say, it was an assignment that I didn't like or anything like that. Those never turned out quite as well. And that's why I am not going off of the official prompts for Inktober. If you look it up online, there are official prompts that most people are going off of. And they're usually just one word, and then you interpret it how you wish. And I've looked at those and they don't talk to me, so that's why I do my own subjects, my own thing. So 2 years ago, I went with quotes that have meaning to me and based all of my images off of that. So, for example, my oldest sister, Jenny, bought the one that was inspired by the quote, "Don't wait for the rain to pass, learn to dance in the rain." And I have always liked that. And I used, oh gosh, we're going on an hour. I used Lindsay Sterling as my reference for the person in the image because she is such a bright soul. If you don't know who she is, you should totally look her up. She's awesome. She also has a YouTube. But she plays violin and dances at the same time, and she has a light inside of her. And that brightness that kind of went with the feeling of the quote. Anyway, so the reason I bring that up is I did